Alright, short reloading video. I wanted to do a quick video that is kind of aimed at the guys who have been loading maybe 9mm, 45 ACP, 40 Smith & Wesson. Even if you're a revolver reloader, maybe a 357 or something like that, but you've never really gotten into like a 223 Remington. Maybe you've been running a lot of carbide dies for pistol and you know how to do that. And you're kind of curious, well, what about rifle? You know, maybe you or your buddies are getting a 300 Blackout or a 223 Remington or some kind of AR-15 or whatever. So I decided to make a quick video just to kind of give you well, here are the things that are different, and then you can go look at my other videos that show you how to do this stuff, or just kind of have the general information that, okay, well, that is a little bit of a different thing between it. Okay? So, like I said, I'm going to assume you know all about pistol, ammo, resize, flare the case, mouth, seat the bullet, crimp the bullet, and all that. Okay, a regular set of dies, even a small base, the black RCBS small base, which are pretty much the same as like a Hornady. Hornady is basically a small base set, in my opinion. You can research that and decide for yourself. But for RCBS Lee, they make kind of a regular full-length die, which is what you're going to want for like as opposed to, let's say, a neck sizing set, which would be like the Lee collet dies, or neck die set for these things. Those are really more for bolt action rifles. And honestly, if you watch my other videos, I do not recommend you buy the neck sets unless you really, really know why you're doing it. Okay, so the biggest difference in the resizing operation between a straight-walled pistol and a bottleneck, so you got a shoulder, it's called a bottleneck type cartridge, is going to be when you go ahead and resize this, you're going to end up pushing this shoulder back a little bit. This thing headspace is off of that shoulder, and when you fire it, generally the shoulder moves forward and the neck kind of rides with it. And when you resize it and you push the shoulder back, the material has to go somewhere. And what will happen is the neck will grow a little bit in height. It'll get a little taller. Okay, so eventually so first of all, you have to resize this because it's not going to reliably fit back in the chamber in an auto-loading firearm, like an AR-15 or a Mini 14, whatever. So, you know, I use this little guy here, and you can see I did not resize this one yet because I'm actually stuck. Down here. The neck's too big, but I can, you know, this is for after, but I have these things. You don't necessarily have to have them, but here's what I do. Some guys make their own lube. You're going to need lube. I use case lube from RCBS. It's just easy. A little bit, you don't want too much on there. It's a thin coat. I wanted to show you, I only really apply it kind of up at the top half of the case. And a lot of times I pull my fingers off this way so it gets all the way to the top. Okay? You're going to need a shell holder just like with a pistol. Okay? If you have this kind of press, if you have a progressive, you already know all this stuff. But okay, what I wanted to show you is how to set this die up. It's steel. It's not a carbide or a tungsten carbide set. So you know that when you set this up, you're supposed to come up and just kiss the shell. You're supposed to bring this ram all the way up, the handle all the way down, bring your die down to just touch the top of the shell holder, and not to over cam it. It says in all caps, do not over cam. If you read this one, it should say in all caps, make sure you over cam. These are designed for this over camming. So what does that mean? Well, that means that I'm all the way up touching the base of it. I'm all locked in, guys. I'm all the way up in the base of it, and I am not down with my handle. Okay, so here, watch this. All right, watch this. Ugh, so we're over camming by the directions. I do it kind of by feel, but there are directions for how much to over cam that, or cam it over. Okay, that is going to ensure that you're getting a really consistent amount of resizing at this shoulder, which is critical to get the headspace back. Okay, so here we go, one up. This is the lubed case. You can get these stuck. Really not that hard to get them stuck, and holy cow, is it hard to get them out. So just make sure you lube them one shot. The lanolin, whatever the guys do, they make their own. Case loop, something. Get the lubrication on there, okay? I don't personally get any inside of it, but some people do, whatever. Okay, here we go. There's the top, and there's the overcam. And then down, here coming down, it's going to try to stop itself. That is because when I went up inside of there, the resizing body squeezed the neck smaller than it needs to be. It starts out bigger because it's fired in a chamber. Well, I resize it too much. And then as I'm coming out, I run into a piece of detail in there that sets that. It brings it back to just the right length. Or I'm sorry, just the right diameter. Okay? So it comes out nicely like that. All right. That case has been resized. Now watch what it does. It goes right in. Now is it too long? I was telling you that it stretches the neck. Well, in this case, maybe we can listen. Clean off the lube on the one you lube, okay? This might be ready for, with 223, this might be ready for, I don't know, like maybe 3 or 4 more, depending on how dirty your cases are. Inspect your case, this is where it splits a lot, all right? It'll get splits up there, or it could get dents if you get too much lube in it. The dents are okay as long as they're not a crease or a fold. A little dent's not a big deal, okay? But anyway, so I clean off the case, off the goop I put on there, and then I'll put this down on the table. And I didn't hear that ting noise that I talk about in my other videos, so I don't think this case is too long. You can take a set of calipers and hit it. You can put it in maybe your world's quickest trimmer or your Lee trim system or whatever you're going to use, but you're going to have to trim it eventually, okay? I have videos on that, but that's something that's a little bit different than maybe a pistol where you almost never have to trim them. They really don't grow because they just sort of open, okay? You have to have some kind of system. Some guys like I said, the world's quickest trimmer, whatever. I use this Lee system because I'm already kind of set up for it, so it's kind of easy to spend the $7 on this set every cartridge I add. Okay, so once it's resized, maybe you check the length. Maybe you're doing 1,000 of them, and you're gonna resize them all, and then you're gonna trim them all, and the ones that don't touch the trimmer just pass through. I don't know what you're gonna do. This is resized and ready for priming at that point. You can chamfer this, especially if you're gonna reload with like flat-based bullets. You can get a chamfer tool and chamfer the inside, and that'll really help seat the flat-based type bullets. Okay, so that's the resizing differences between maybe a carbide and a rifle case. Seating is exactly the same in my opinion. Personally, and you'll know this from my other videos, I do not like to use the taper crimp that's inside of here at all. I make sure I put my seating plug way down inside this body so that I do not ever get near the taper crimp details that are inside. I had a guy tell me that most of these are roll crimp. Okay, but I don't really, they're not. That's in, revolver, that's in revolver, handgun cases, and maybe like a tube fed 30-30 or a 45-70. Yeah, those are roll crimp. You're right. Not in a lot of these. They're not going to roll crimp. They're going to be a taper crimp. And the variation that my system allows for is not good for that. Okay, so seating I'm going to skip. You already know how to do that. So maybe you already know how to do this, and that'll be old news. But this is a Lee factory crimp die. I like these for rifle cartridges if you personally insist on crimping. I do not crimp very many of my cases because I'm single stage and it's a lot of extra work. I got to set up one of these, you know, maybe I size and I seat. Well, then now I've got to tear down my sizing and I put it this and run the whole batch through here. And I just haven't found that to be worth it. Now, if you have the turret press or maybe a progressive press, heck yeah, I'm throwing this on there because it's free, you know, it's free to do it. So of course I'm going to do it. So that's maybe where you'll see on the internet guys say, well, I never run a case without crimping it. Well, it might be free for them, but it's not free for me. Okay. So I've taken cases and I've seated them and I've taken the cartridge and I've pushed, trying to push the bullet into the case. I can't do it. So I say, all right, I kind of know how hard that felt to seat. And if it feels like that, I generally just kind of roll with it, and I've not had any setback issues. AR-15s really don't have a lot of recoil. Even in some of the bigger stuff like the 450 Bushmaster, more recoil for sure, but I haven't really heard a lot of issues with like setback either in the magazine or during loading. That's something for you. You already are familiar, I'm going to think, on that situation. So that is what I see as the biggest differences. You're going to need some lube. You're going to need a way to crimp it if you feel like crimping it. And the way this gets set up, that's a big difference because this is like a major no-no with a taper. With a CTC, I think Taper Crimp, with a tungsten carbide set. This over cam or cam over is a no-no. Just for completeness, small pistol primer and small rifle primers are not the same. Please don't interchange them. These have a lot harder cup. These have a lot softer cup. This would be really bad news in a rifle, in my opinion, especially an AR-15, which has a floating firing pin. And yes, when you drop the bolt on a round in the chamber, it will indent that primer. Okay, so these are a little harder. Don't put these in there. Do not do it. It says pistol, okay? That AR pistols are rifles, okay, guys? They're not pistols for the purposes of a primer. All right, so be good.